I believe in miracles. I believe in the power of the Holy Spirit, and I believe in you because he believes in you. There is a dream somewhere deep inside you, perhaps hidden, maybe even buried under years of fear, failure, or forgetfulness. But it's there. Oh, yes, it's still there. It didn't come from your own imagination. No, beloved, it came from the heart of God, a divine whisper, placed in the quiet chambers of your spirit. You see, God never calls you to dream what you can do alone. No, he calls you to dream what only he can do through you. Maybe someone told you it's too late. Maybe you've disqualified yourself. You say, but Miss Khulman, I've made too many mistakes. Oh, don't you know? God specializes in broken vessels. He takes the shattered, the forgotten, the ignored, and he breathes life into what others have left for dead. That dream in you is not over. It is not too big. It is not too far gone, and it is not impossible, for with God nothing shall be impossible. Do you hear me? With God the barren woman sings again, the prodigal comes home, the lame walk, the addicted are set free, the overlooked rise up, and dreams. Live again, but first, you must surrender, you must give him everything, your pride, your plans, your reputation, your limitations, because when you give God you're nothing. He gives you everything, oh precious one. The size of your dream is not the issue. The question is, can you believe? Can you believe that your life is not an accident? Can you believe that the same Spirit who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you? That dream isn't just for you. It's for the world. It's to heal, to speak, to build, to lift, to show others that God is still working miracles. So dream big, because you serve a big God. Lift your head. Open your heart and say it with me now. Lord, I believe. Breathe on my dream again. Long pause, soft, emotional, he's doing it. Right now, right now. God does not place dreams in the human heart by accident. Every dream born in the Spirit, every longing that stirs your soul and won't let you go, carries a divine fingerprint. It is not just ambition. It is not just imagination. It is the whisper of eternity calling you forward. When God plants a dream, it is part of his eternal design, woven into the fabric of who you are before you ever took your first breath. You were created on purpose, with purpose, and the dream, it is a piece of his purpose for you on this earth. It may seem too large for you. That's because it's not meant to be done by your strength alone. The dream requires faith. It requires dependence on him. He gives the dream, and then he walks with you to see it fulfilled. Sometimes we mistake God-sized dreams as foolish, impractical, or impossible, but that is the very nature of a divine calling. God dreams are always bigger than we think we can handle, because they are designed to reveal his glory, not our own. He doesn't just call the equipped. He equips the called, and the dream he's given you, it's not random, it's sacred. The dream may not make sense to others. It may not even make sense to you yet. But God knows the end from the beginning. And when he places something inside your spirit, he does it knowing every twist, every delay, every tear you'll shed along the way. Still, he trusts you with it. He trusts you enough to carry something eternal. That dream is not just about success. It's about impact. It's about transformation. It's about building something that will outlive you, something that will bless others, something that will echo in heaven. So don't minimize it. Don't hide it. Don't bury it just because it scares you. If God planted it, it's not supposed to be comfortable. It's supposed to stretch your faith, and in the stretching, he is glorified. Because when that dream comes to life, no one will be able to say it was by your hand alone. They will say, surely the Lord has done this. Let the dream rise again, not because you're strong enough, but because he is faithful. Always faithful. Nothing is impossible with God. These are not just words to inspire. They are a divine truth, a heavenly reality that overrides every earthly limitation. When God speaks, nature obeys. When he moves, the impossible bows. What is impossible for man is easy for God. Time, disease, failure, lack, none of these intimidate him. He is the creator of all things, and he has never encountered a barrier he could not break or a wall he could not bring down. When God enters a situation, the rules change. What was final is no longer final. What was dead can live again. What was lost can be found. What was broken can be restored, and not just restored, but made better, stronger, more beautiful than it was before. God does not repair as man repairs. He resurrects. You may look at your life and see ruins, years lost, opportunities missed, prayers unanswered, but God sees the end from the beginning. What looks like the end to you is just the beginning for him. He's not limited by your past, by your education, by your bank account, by your doctor's report, or by what others have said about you. He is the God who parts seas, who feeds thousands with little, who walks on water, who raises the dead. Not in myth, but in power. Doubt whispers it's too late, but God says, watch me. Fear says, you can't, but God says, I will. When he steps in, impossibility must leave, not because you deserve it, not because you've earned it, but because he is who he says he is. Faith is not pretending you don't see the storm. Faith is knowing that the one who calms the storm is with you, and he's never lost a battle, not once. So whatever you're facing, however high the mountain, however deep the pain, remember, God is not overwhelmed. He is not pacing the floor of heaven trying to figure it out. He already has a plan, and he's waiting for your faith to agree with his ability, because when your faith touches his power, miracles happen. Doors open, chains fall, dreams awaken, and the impossible becomes your testimony. The size of your dream reveals something deeper than ambition. It reveals the depth of your trust in God. When you dream small, it may be because you're still measuring your life by your own strength. But when you dare to dream big, you're declaring something about your confidence in the one who holds the stars and still knows your name. A big dream says, I believe you, Lord. I believe you can do more than I can ask, more than I can imagine, more than I could ever accomplish on my own. God never asked you to be realistic. He asked you to believe. He's not limited by what you see, what you have, or what you've experienced, but he will only go as far as your faith allows. If your trust is shallow, your vision will be small. But when your trust runs deep, when you truly believe that God is who he says he is, your dream will rise to meet that belief. He doesn't plant dreams in you to match your ability. He plants them to match his capacity, and his capacity is infinite. There is no ceiling on what he can do through a surrendered life. But he won't force your dream to grow. You must choose to believe that he's big enough to carry it, to complete it, to use it for his glory. A small dream might feel safer. It might feel easier to explain, easier to control. But that's not the life he's called you to. You weren't created for small thinking, safe prayers, or a life that makes sense on paper. You were made to walk on water, to step out into the unknown, to believe for things that only heaven can accomplish. Your dream should scare your flesh but excite your spirit. It should make you tremble a little, not because it's too big, but because it's too holy to do without him. So check your dream and check your trust. If your dream feels manageable without God, it's not the dream he gave you. But if it feels impossible without him, if it requires faith every single day, then you're right where you're meant to be. Because that kind of dream doesn't just reflect your trust, it deepens it, and in that trust miracles are born. Your background does not disqualify you. It does not matter where you came from, what your family looked like, what you did or what was done to you. Heaven does not consult your past to determine your future. God does not choose based on pedigree, popularity, or perfection. He chooses based on purpose, and if he placed a calling on your life, then no background, no brokenness, no label from man can override his voice. You may have come from dysfunction. You may have walked through shame, addiction, rejection, or failure. Maybe your past is messy. Maybe you've made mistakes that still echo in your heart. But hear this clearly. You are not disqualified. In fact, those very scars may be the stage for his glory. God is not looking for spotless resumes. He's looking for surrendered hearts. He used a murderer named Moses to deliver a nation. He used a rejected shepherd boy named David to become a king. He used a woman with a past, yes, that kind of past, to carry the message of the resurrection. He used fishermen, tax collectors, the forgotten, the despised. Why? Because when God uses someone the world has overlooked, no one can take the credit but him. People may try to remind you of who you used to be, but God sees who he created you to be. The world defines people by their history. God defines you by his destiny. He calls you before you get it all together. He anoints you before you're approved by others. He gives the dream before there's any evidence it could ever come to pass, because it's not about what you've done. It's about what he's going to do. So don't disqualify yourself when God has already qualified you. The enemy loves to use shame to silence dreamers, to make you think you're too far gone or not good enough. But grace breaks shame. Mercy rewrites stories. And what disqualified you in the eyes of others may be the very thing God uses to reach those who need to hear your voice. Your background is not your boundary. It's your backdrop. It's the place where his power will shine the brightest. You are never too old, too young, or too broken to dream. Age does not limit the purposes of God, and brokenness does not disqualify you from his plan. The moment you think your time has passed or your chances are over is the moment God whispers, "I'm just getting started." Abraham was an old man when the promise came. Sarah laughed because it seemed impossible, but God fulfilled it anyway. David was just a boy, overlooked and forgotten in the fields when he was anointed king. Jeremiah said he was too young to speak, but God put his words in his mouth. And Ruth was a foreigner with no place to belong, yet she became part of the lineage of the Messiah. God doesn't work according to human schedules or societal expectations. He works through surrendered hearts. Whether you are 17 or 70, whether you're starting out or starting over, God can breathe new life into a forgotten dream. And even if all you have are the shattered pieces of what once was, he can build something new, something stronger, something even more beautiful than before. There is no expiration date on purpose. There is no age limit on calling. You don't have to wait until you're older, and you don't have to step back just because time has passed. As long as you have breath, there is still more, more to give, more to become, more to dream. And if you feel broken, if your heart carries wounds, regrets, or silent pain, know this: God specializes in using the broken. It is in your weakness that his strength is made perfect. The cracks in your life become the very places where his light shines through. You are not too far gone. You are not too early. You are not too late. The dream is still alive, not because of your ability, but because of his faithfulness. Let him awaken what you thought was over. Let him redeem what you thought was wasted. Because when God breathes on a surrendered life, no limit, no label, and no wound can stand in the way. Surrender is the soil where dreams grow, not ambition. Not striving, not control, true, lasting God-breathed dreams are not born in the hustle of human effort. They are born in the quiet place where you lay everything down. When you stop trying to force it, fix it, or figure it out, and simply say, "Lord, have your way," that is where something holy begins to take root. You cannot carry a God-sized dream in your own strength. It will crush you, but when you surrender, when you lay your dream on the altar, just like Abraham did with Isaac, you give God permission to breathe his life into it. You give him room to shape it, stretch it, and align it with his perfect will. Surrender doesn't mean giving up on the dream. It means giving it over. It is a hard thing to release control. We want to understand the path, the timing, the outcome. But God rarely reveals the whole picture. He invites you into trust. He asks for your yes before he shows you the how. And in that sacred exchange, your dream begins to grow. Not out of your effort, but out of your obedience. Surrender is not weakness. It is strength wrapped in faith. It says, "God, I would rather walk with you in the unknown than run alone in the wrong direction." And when you surrender, you're not losing anything eternal. You're losing the limits. You're letting go of your version so he can give you something far greater. Some dreams must die before they live. Not because God is cruel, but because what you surrender, he resurrects in purity and power. The dream that is born in surrendered soil carries the fragrance of heaven. It's not tainted by ego, not driven by fear, not fueled by comparison. It's rooted in grace, watered by trust, and sustained by his Spirit. So if you're tired, if you're carrying a dream that's become too heavy, bring it back to him. Lay it down and trust that in the letting go, something eternal is being planted, something sacred, something that only God can bring to life. Faith is the bridge between the dream and the reality. It stands between what God has spoken and what your eyes have yet to see. It connects the invisible promise to the visible fulfillment. Without faith, the dream remains distant, beautiful in theory, but unreachable in life. But when faith rises, when you dare to believe even when nothing makes sense, that bridge is built one step at a time. Faith is not a feeling. It's not the absence of doubt or fear. It is choosing to walk forward when the path is unclear, to speak life when all you see is death, to obey when the outcome is uncertain. It's trusting that if God gave the dream, he will also make the way. Faith doesn't demand the full blueprint. It just takes the next step. Every fulfilled dream you've ever admired began with a moment of faith. Someone believed. Someone dared to step out of the boat, even while the waves were still crashing. And that is what faith looks like. It moves when it doesn't yet make sense. It builds while the rain hasn't come. It prepares a place before the promise arrives. It speaks as though it is, even when it is not. The journey from dream to reality is often long. There are delays, disappointments, detours, but faith keeps walking. Faith keeps praying. Faith keeps declaring that God is faithful, even in the waiting. It refuses to give up, not because of how things look, but because of who gave the dream in the first place. If you try to build your dream with logic alone, you'll stop when it gets hard. But when faith is your foundation, you keep building even through the storm. Faith says, "I don't see it yet, but I know it's coming." A faith lifts your eyes from the circumstances to the promise, and in that posture, dreams cross over into reality. You may not feel ready, you may not have the resources, but you have faith, and that is enough, because faith invites the supernatural. It brings God into the equation. It invites his timing, his provision, his intervention. And once God steps onto the bridge you've built with your faith, the dream cannot stay distant. It must move, it must shift, it must live. Your dream will be tested before it's fulfilled. Not because God is cruel, but because he is preparing you to carry the weight of what you've asked for. The testing is not punishment, it is preparation. It's in the fire that your faith is refined. It's in the wilderness that your character is shaped. Before God fulfills a dream, he often stretches the dreamer. When God gives you a dream, it feels full of light, hope, and destiny. But soon after, reality begins to challenge what you believed. Doors close, delays come, people doubt. Even you may begin to question if you heard God at all. But these are the moments that determine whether the dream was rooted in emotion or anchored in faith. Joseph dreamed of leadership, of influence, of greatness. And then he was thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, falsely accused, and forgotten in prison. But none of those things meant the dream had died. They were the proving grounds. Each test stripped away pride, deepened trust, and built the resilience required to steward what was coming. Had the dream come too early, he would not have been ready. The test will often come in silence, when it seems heaven is quiet, when no one sees your obedience, when the dream feels more like a burden than a promise. But those seasons matter deeply. They form something in you that success never could. They teach you to worship in the dark, to keep walking when there's no applause, to hold on to the word God gave you even when there's nothing to show for it yet. Sometimes the test looks like delay. Sometimes it looks like betrayal or unexpected loss, or having to celebrate others while you still wait. But none of it is wasted. Every tear, every closed door, every moment of surrender is producing something eternal in you. It is stretching your spirit to match the size of the dream. God is more concerned with your becoming than your arriving. He doesn't just want to give you the dream. He wants to make sure the dream doesn't destroy you once it's fulfilled. And so he refines, he prunes, he tests. And in the testing, you are being rooted, strengthened, prepared. Hold on. Trust the process. The testing is not the end, it's the evidence that the dream is real. And if you stay faithful through the fire, you'll come out not only holding the dream, but carrying the authority to walk in it. When God breathes on your dream, it comes alive. What once felt dormant, buried, or forgotten begins to stir with holy possibility. His breath is not like the breath of man. It carries power, life, resurrection. It is the same breath that formed Adam from dust, the same breath that split the sea, the same breath that filled the upper room with wind and fire. When God breathes, what is lifeless must respond. You may have carried a dream for years, maybe tucked it away in the corners of your heart because disappointment told you it was over. But all it takes is one moment, one breath from heaven, and what you thought was dead begins to move again. You don't have to strive to make it happen. You don't have to manipulate the outcome. You simply need to make space for him, and when he breathes, the impossible bends to his will. His breath brings clarity. Suddenly, what was confusing becomes clear. His breath brings acceleration. What should have taken years happens in days. His breath brings favor. Doors open that you didn't knock on. People find you. Opportunities find you, not because you chased them, but because he breathed on what he entrusted to you. There is a difference between a good idea and a God-breathed dream. A good idea depends on your talent. A God-breathed dream depends on his presence, and when he breathes, it carries eternal weight. It's not just about what you're building, it's about what he's building through you. Even if you've tried and failed, even if you've watched others step into what you've longed for, don't let that stop you. God has a timing and a touch that changes everything. His breath doesn't come because you've earned it. It comes because he is good, because he finishes what he starts, because he honors faith even when it's been weathered by the storm. When he breathes, hope returns, vision returns, strength returns, and suddenly the dream isn't just something you carry. It carries you, because now it's not just a desire. It's a divine assignment revived by the breath of the one who never lies, never forgets, and never fails. Your dream is not just for you, it's for others. What God places in your heart isn't meant to end with you, it's meant to flow through you. The dream he gives carries within it the power to impact lives beyond your reach, to open doors for those behind you, to light the way for someone still walking through darkness. It may begin with you, but it is never meant to stay with you. God's dreams are never selfish. They're sacred. They're tied to his heart for people, for healing, for restoration, for redemption. That business you're called to build may become the place where someone encounters hope again. That book you've been afraid to write might carry the exact words someone is crying out to hear. That ministry, that vision, that idea. It's not about your platform, your name, or your success. It's about souls. It's about purpose. It's about being part of something eternal. When you pursue the dream God gave you, you step into divine partnership. And in that partnership, he uses your obedience to answer someone else's prayer. He uses your story to unlock someone else's freedom. Your yes becomes the bridge for someone else to cross into their healing, their calling, their breakthrough. This is why you can't give up. Because it's not just about you reaching your dream, it's about others finding theirs through your obedience, your journey, your endurance, your trust. It all matters more than you know. You are carrying something bigger than yourself. You are carrying the future of lives you haven't even met. Don't minimize your dream just because you don't see the full impact yet. Heaven sees it, God sees it, and the ripple effect of your obedience will reach farther than your eyes ever will. Someone is waiting on the other side of your faith. So walk forward, not just for your sake, but for theirs. So dream boldly, but dream with heaven in mind. Hold the dream, but hold it surrendered. Walk in faith, even when the way is hidden. And when the tests come, because they will, stand firm, knowing that the fire does not destroy what is eternal. It only reveals what is real. You are not too late. You are not too far. You are not too broken. The breath of God still brings life. The promise still holds power, and the dream he planted in you is not just a desire. It's a divine assignment. This is not the end. It is the beginning of something eternal, something bigger than you, something that will echo beyond your lifetime. So rise, believe again, dare again, because when God dreams through you, it's not just about what you'll accomplish. It's about what he will awaken in the world through your yes. Now go and dream as if heaven is watching, because it is.